All right, this practice is in response to my praying mantis experience on the trails. It's influenced. So we're going to start with a shape that I think it'd be nice if we do some work that's kind of potent for the intercostals, the ribs, the upper chest, kind of reaching musculature for breathing. So let's get our props organized. So we're going to have 2 blankets or whatever is equivalent. Maybe it's just a pillow for you. I don't know what you have. You could have a big pillow here instead of these blankets. And they don't have to be the height of your bolster, okay? But mine is approximately. So you want to have the bolster to be maybe at least as high as the blankets or the pillow. And then a block is right in front of the bolster, okay? The block height, I think, should be low because we don't want to do anything that's going to be too harsh on our back. And then I have another block nearby. We're going to be using that in the beginning too. So have a ball, have a belt that's connected, and then if you have a sandbag, place that nearby so it's easy to lie on your ribs or your hips. So come on up to sit on the block, and the block is a tail support. It's your tail. Okay, now as you lower back on the bolster, you are lowering back your pelvi. I think it was like the pelvis on the back on supta poses. It's like the pelvi is kind of lying in its basin. And when I lower back, I'm going to make sure that my head relaxes on the support, which is, for me, blankets. Could be towels, could be pillows. Now, I think in the beginning on this one, you probably want to have enough height so it's easy. You're not trying to strain to get a stretch, which sounds kind of funny, but some of us like to go really low with a blanket, and maybe that feels better on your shoulders, your chest, and your neck. So you be the decider. Do I have a lot of blankets? Do I have very few? Feeling how your breath responds to the support under your head is next. So if you have a sandbag, you're going to add it across the rib intersection or down to the top of the thighs. You know, I don't have that opportunity yet because my knees are still bending, walking my feet in. My knees are going to rest a little closer to each other so I can let the arms fall out to the sides. And then the feeling under my head changes. So you might decide, oh, it was really good a moment ago, but now with the sand, it changes the flow of circulation to your chest and your throat. So if you want to go down to one blanket or kind of go back and forth, take your time to start to blend your focus into the open quality of the ribs. The opening of the practice right now, and feeling as the breath kind of rolls in and as it releases out. Scanning the sensation of touching onto the props. This might be the time when you decide to either extend your legs straight down and maybe move the sand to the tops of the thighs, or all up to you. You could even bring the feet together, soles of the feet and the knees outward, so they splay out. It's all up to you. Okay, so there's 3 options: knees pointing up, knees pointing out, feet together, or legs extending down. But feel that circulation in your throat. And if the sand on the ribs is causing you more pressure in your throat, just lower it down, okay? Some people like the sand on their core, like their navel area, some a little bit lower. I love that feel of stretching into my abdominal muscles just with pure weight. So with the arms open, the spine starting to relax into extension. Feel the physical quality of the breath moving in the ribs. You're simply reorganizing the spaces you breathe into. And that's going to be an adventure we explore this whole time, okay? Because you have to kind of reorganize the spaces with movement, the spaces you're breathing into as you go through this kind of pose terrain. Let's take about 5 more breaths. If the feet turn out and the legs are extending down, that is okay. You focus on the larger parts of the leg muscles, right? The top part, the connector parts. How about that? So the quads into the hips. Okay, now take a block, hold on to a block that you hold so it's its widest kind of setting, I like to call it. I like to call them settings. So I've got the block between my hands and I can have the legs extending or bending. I'm going to go back to bending the knees, soles of the feet on the floor. Okay. It's okay to do the most basic variations, right? You can always go further after that, but start simple with the hands holding the block up over the core from navel up. And then kind of feel where the lower rotator cuff, where the circulation is in your shoulders. And you can hold the block lightly. You don't have to make a deep pressure into the block. Your fingers can slightly bend here. And then as you're extending overhead-ish. So sometimes going towards that area is just enough, but feeling just before your back tries to arch more. So when I reach behind, right, overhead, I have a moment where it's kind of arching or flinching and then it settles back down. So keep reaching, and if your reach is already at its limit, respect that. Maybe it's straight up still, that's okay. And then bend your elbows and see if you can put that block down. So I still have a blanket back there. So how easy is that? So touch onto the sides of the block. See if you can push a little deeper, a little bit more with your hands. So you kind of wake up the triceps. Keep them bendy. And then as I bend through the L bones, I always think about like you're getting on a roller coaster, although I haven't been on one of those in ages, but this is kind of that idea when you pull that bar over, then you're just going to lower the block down towards your belly and keep it bendy, elbows bendy, and then bring it back overhead. So in breath, ribs expand. Oh, that's hard to do. They try to get they grip in to try to expand the ribs. And then as you exhale, lower the block down towards the belly. It doesn't have to touch anything. It's just movement. In breath, keep your elbows bendy, kind of out to the side so you can get those ribs to expand. Fill her up. And lower back down. Okay, so it's about the bending, right? Although I have to admit in the beginning it was about straight and then reaching. But keep it bendy so it's a little more cozy in your lower back as well. Okay, and then last time you move the block down, I'm going to keep my knees bending. I think bending is the theme here in this moment. All right, last time, I may have said that right then, but put your block overhead so it's there, even if it kind of falls down. Open out the arms, take a sizable in-breath that you can recognize you're breathing deep. And then as you exhale, be sure your feet are walking in. If you had your legs straight, walk your feet in. And then move the sand over to the left and keep that hinge at the hips and the knees, and caution, you're going to roll to your left rib cage, okay? And I know the block's kind of behind you, so you can reach back and just move the block back and then roll. And as we're rolling now, we're going to use our ball at the left rib cage. Okay, so block can go to the side because it might be a little distraction. I'm going to be in sage pose. So ultimately, my left leg is drawing to the bolster, knee is bending. My right leg might not be so happy about this situation. So I would say if it's hurting your knee, bring your right thigh to the left thigh, like you're stacking the legs, okay? If it's okay for your knee, you can rest your thigh on the left foot. But you're going to place the ball to the left rib cage. We could give some names of where we want to put it, serratus here or there, but I want you to just feel kind of the front and then the side, about here, not on the back, okay? So I'm leaning into the bolster. Now, if you don't have a ball quite like this, like you have one of those bigger Pilates balls, those work pretty good too. But as I lean in, I'm going to bring my hands on the floor between the bolster and the blanket. I don't care how high the blankets are right now. So palms down, and then feel the ribs pressing the part that's on the ball. That's all you get to feel, right? You can feel whatever you want. I know feelings are overrated maybe here. Okay, story of my life. So right hand presses down and see if you can kind of jockey for more weight in your right hand. So you're massaging into the left ribs, even though ribs may feel like they don't matter that much. There's a lot of them, so they do matter. And their breathing muscles. So maybe go a little bit side to side. Now the ball is on the ribs, not my belly button area, right? It's not in this fleshy area. Although it kind of feels good to massage that a little bit, I have to admit. So you get to go into whatever terrain you want with the ball. Okay. So as I'm drawing across, I have my hands pressing. I'm going to try to push a little more into my right hand. And then just lifting your chin up a little bit, just a little, not tightening the neck, just a little bit of lift. Breathe. The belly might feel like it's getting quite the rotation. It only helps to breathe. Okay. Now, bend your elbows so you kind of sink into that ball, and then you're going to turn back to the right, okay? And then take the ball, place it under the inner right knee, and get a blanket stack up. Okay, so we're going to need our blankets or whatever you've got here, right, instead of blankets. Whatever is the same height as your bolster would be good. Approximate. And then I got my sand. I'm going to kind of drag it up to my bolster so it'll be easier to get it on myself. And then the block on the other side of the blankets. Okay, so now as you've gone from twist, you're going to go to side stretch. So we'll put our sand on the outer right hip, unless you're able to put on the inner hip. And then as you lean down to the left side, let the left shoulder kind of contour into the bolster. Right? And think of yourself as kind of curious about these parts, elaborating on the stretch. And you might even feel parts of things you wouldn't think, like your throat, swallowing, circulation, when you come into these challenging shapes. So you're using the shape not just for the breath spaces, the flexibility of your intercostals or your lungs, but also for the circulation of fluids, right, in the body, because we're made of a lot of those. So as we lean in with our head resting into the blankets, let your arm either stretch overhead to the block, or you can let it move and roll on the back of your head. So with that reach of the shoulder, the chest, the relaxing down into that left hip, breathing. And ultimately, do relax your head on the blankets. I think that's where I find what helps me release the neck a bit. So the arm, if it feels like it's tightening your neck when it's overhead after a few moments, you might want to put that right arm on the side or down onto your bolster so you can feel the side body stretching. Okay, now it will stretch quite deeply when we come up to our next shape. But right now you're just kind of surrendering the weight of the body into the bolster and the props and relaxing your breath. Kind of warming it up for what we're going towards. Take about 3 to 4 more rounds of breath. See if you can let your head relax a little more. If your neck is tightening up, you can always fold the blanket a little higher. Sometimes that really does the trick at relaxing the neck. So arm is down or arm is overhead. If it pinches the neck, keep the arm down. Okay. Now this right side that's had some, they both have had some circulation from this shape. Okay, both sides. So when we use our hands to feel how we turn, kind of notice your sand's going to fall off anyway, right? No matter what you do. So you could just probably leave it there or push it away and then start to come back to that twist. Okay, and then we just come up and we take the sand off to the side, but we're going to add it again. So we're going to come up to take a seat on our bolster. And you can do this little series on a bolster or not. So if you decide, I want to try this without the bolster in my seat, you can sit on a blanket, which will make it more challenging. But I don't know. I like the category of alignment first and kind of refine the lift of my spine. So I'm going to stay with bolster, but you could go lower. Okay. So we're going to place a ball. I would say, just to be really safe, put it under your right knee, right? So you have a little cushion. You can put a block under the left knee, or if your leg lowers down pretty comfortably, just go minus, but a block is really nice under the left leg. And then a sandbag on the top of the left thigh. Okay. All right. Okay, so facing forward, right? I know you might be looking this way, looking that way, but try to face forward. So kind of feel from sitting bones, the width, the narrow motion up the spine. So there's width, there's curve in the back. And then as we come up, we're going to bring both arms to reaching. Okay. And sometimes holding something helps, like a block or a belt, but let's just bring the arms up. Arms for arms reach. Okay, now with the turnstile of the ribs, so the ribs are the steering wheel, we're going to just turn a little bit side to side so you go both directions, right and left. Okay, and one side might be easier because you got the knee pointing out. Okay. All right, now let's get our belt. All right, I almost forgot. It doesn't have to be buckled up for this, but I already buckled it up for what I'm expecting we'll do. But you want to kind of lasso in your right foot. Okay. Place the belt so as it's under your right foot. I just kind of put it up on the right thigh and then over. It doesn't have to meet my left leg, but it's on top of the right leg. Okay. Now turn to your left. Bring your right hand to the left knee. I need something back here to hold. So I'm going to reach for my block, or you could have your blanket and kind of fold it up. You might be relying on the back hand to help steer the circulation in the ribs. You might not. Okay, so I'm clutching onto my left leg and I'm going to place my hand so it touches, but it's not pulling that aggressively. So I can feel that it gets me there with my hand holding my knee. Then I just slide the hand to the thigh. And then I work with my breath as the contributor to helping me twist, which I think is a whole nother world in there. But you're the only one that might be able to control that inner world, perhaps, if we get lucky, just our own. So as I feel that contribution of the inhale, and I kind of expect it will happen. Okay, now we're turning to the left, but what we're going to do is reach with our right hand to the belt. Okay, trust it's over there somewhere. You might have to look for it, but hold the belt with your right hand. And then as you bend the right elbow, keep the ribs lifting, lower down the right arm, maybe to the right leg, and then the left arm stretches up, maybe. Okay, some of us might find this is too much on the shoulder. So if that's the case, you just let the left arm be behind your back. And I like that. I wouldn't say it's just, but I feel like this is where I like to be with my leaning. This is a good place to kind of give some momentum with the arm reaching, but I do like that arm reaching behind the back here. So pull with that right hand, feel the right bicep toning, breathing. Okay, now let go of the belt. Come on up. So turn navel back forward. It feels a little robot-like, doesn't it? Take the belt off your foot, and now let's take the twist to the counter twist here, which is where we're going to go when we lean into the bolster. So I want you to take your right foot on a block. This is so we all start with a really basic one. So right foot on the block, knee stretches outward, so rotating, external rotation. Door one would be now take the twist here, left hand to right knee. Okay, door number two, which is a little more challenging, would be no block under the left knee. Right leg crosses over the left leg. And then we place the left arm to the right leg and we turn a little deeper. Okay, but try to really blend so that you're isolating here in the ribs with a twist, massaging. I think you're going to really be massaging the organs either shape if you're on a block or your leg is over. So let's be realistic. They're both good. No one's better than anyone else if they can do this deeper twist. But if you can keep doing these types of rotations, really massaging into the organs, pressing right into that spleen on that left side, and then squeezing into the liver. Okay. Happy liver. Okay, and find that rotation. Twisting the lung. A little bit of lung pressure. So in breath and exhale. One more, breathe slow. Belly expands. So you can strengthen the diaphragm, and then as you let the breath out, kind of unwind. All right, and then come down. So come down off the bolster, okay? This might be a good time to just let the knees swing a little bit. So sitting down in front, bring your elbows down to the bolster, and just let the knees swing side to side in windshield wiper. Okay, you can have your head centered forward, you can tilt your head up a little bit, but in general, feel the touch into the glutes. It's kind of a minor glute deal. We'll get into the glutes, but as we go crossing, now we're going to switch to side two. So turn to the right and have your ball at the right rib cage. Okay, initially, I tried this with the hands on the bolster, but it's too much on the shoulder. It's definitely a bad idea. So you want to find where it's real comforting. You can lean so you feel like you're pushing into the ribs a little bit. So instead of trying to make it like perfect, precise, it's okay to just have your knees stacked, right? You can have the legs stacked and turn. You get more twist when the legs are stacked. But it's okay to feel this circulation in the back spaces and the hands touching down. Okay, we're doing all this kind of twist-a-ruin before we go into legs up today. So we're kind of going to manifest some good flow in the body. So if you find the capacity to kind of reach your chest a little bit back, like you're trying to do upward facing dog, this is a twisted upward facing dog. So try to do a little bit of reach. Okay. No barking. Okay, weight into the left hand. Okay, maybe I know that there's more right hand pressure here, but weight into the left hand if you can. Okay, breathing. You can turn your hands out if it doesn't feel good on your wrist. There's always options. Okay, breathe. Yeah, this is a nice one for the breath, for the ribs. It kind of makes side stage seem kind of pale, actually. Okay, now as I try to lift up through my chest, so what I recommend is if you have one of these soft balls with the little acupressure points, Try some time kind of rolling a little bit on the belly. Of course, we do back and hips and glutes, but give it a try sometime just to massage that area. Okay. Now, coming into that side stage, so caution, our back is now coming back to center, stretching. So I lean into my right hip, place the ball under my left inner knee, and then block goes on the other side. Okay, blanket stacked up. Okay. And then when I lean in, I grab my sand, place it to the outer left hip. And then as I lower down, ribs, right, you're going to have that whole length of the ribs trying to kind of reach in its side. And then that feels comforting for my back muscles, right, when I do a side bend. So left hand can reach overhead to the block. Where is that block, right? Where is it? Too far. Okay. And so if you do put it kind of far back so you have to work to get there, that's okay. But realistically, we're restoring and replenishing, repair work in the body. So you can strive, okay? But if you start to feel pinching, right, then back off. And then as the weight of your head relaxes on the blankets, maybe closing your eyes and feeling that side body. My right arm is completely relaxed between the bolster and the blankets. It's not doing any bicep curls or anything. It's just completely passive. Breathing slow. With that left arm releasing down, opening maybe perhaps to kind of get that counter spin in the ribs and the armpit. Okay. So we're going to be shifting. So the side that we're pushing into is going to be the side that we're going to twist and expand, right, when we do our seated work. So try to roll into that right rib cage. It does seem like right pelvis, right hip, but also feel the ribs. I mean, they're in the middle of you, so during the day, you don't really get to feel them, touch things very much, unless you get a lot of hugs, So this is good stuff, good touch stuff. So roll into the ribs. And all you have to do is hug your bolster every once in a while, and you get that. So come on up. All right. And taking the left leg to reach out. I'm still a fan of the ball under the knee. I know it looks makes it sort of easy, but I like that. So when I take this turn, I think I'm going to set up my belt first this time. Okay, so sand on the right thigh, block under the knee, set it up so that you are achieving in ease in that inner lift, right? So of course, some of us can have our knee on the ground, and we're marvelous, flexible people, but it's better, I think, to have all this support from the bottom up, and then I don't start to collapse as much, right? Drop, right? Prolapse. Oh my gosh, it could happen. Okay, so belt under the left foot, and then just have it. I'm going to have it just as a loop, but you can unbuckle it too. All right, so first things first, we got the belt, it's under the left foot, and I'm going to turn to the right, bring the left hand to right knee. Now, last time we did this, and we turn. So this time, I'm hoping we have a little bit of inner lift that's still there from the last time we were doing this side, the other side. So when you're turning, okay, try to find the awareness behind the heart. Okay? I know what's behind your heart, your spine. Okay, so there's not much room in between for something else to hang out. So when you're turning, Okay, feel the shoulder on that right side kind of motioning back. And I have to admit, one side does feel a tiny bit different. It's not the same side. So it's good to know you're on the other side. You don't even have to think about it. You can feel it's different. So feel if you can get your shoulder to roll at all, right? To lift and roll back, or if it's kind of stuck. We all have history, scar tissue, who knows what each of us is experiencing in this moment with our shoulder. But you want to feel that you're turning in the turnstile of the ribs. That's your emphasis, not your lumbar. So if I touch my lower back, it's not twisting. It's strengthening from this pose. It still has its nice arch. Now reach for the belt with your left hand. Okay, hold. And then as I try to keep that inner lift from behind my heart, I'm gonna pull on the belt. And I have this kind of brainwash from training. You have your elbow on the top or the inside of the leg. You don't put it on the outside. So I think it's okay, burned in my memory here, to bend the elbow and lean down, like let your head even tip down to the left arm. And then try to turn the rib cage to the right. But think small motions. Right arm might lift up. You might be kind of feeling your way through the terrain here. Okay. All right, so feel that reach to the right side. The left foot could flex. I think it's got to flex if you've got a belt under it. And I'm pulling with my left hand and I'm leaning to the left. And my right arm gets to go wherever it wants. It could go behind your back. It could relax, leaning, and breathe. Now let the practice be creating these smooth lines of energy in the body. It doesn't have to be more than that. It could be almost like sometimes really simple. Simple mind, simple body. Okay, now I'm going to let go of the belt. And then when you come on up, take that left foot. I think just put it on a block anyway. Okay, even if you're like advanced twister, super twister. Okay, and feel what it's like to take that turn to the left. So if you feel like, I kind of like it this way, gives me more room, then maybe you don't cross the leg over. Now, if you do cross it, get rid of the block under the right leg, cross the left leg over the right. The foot is on the floor, and then the right arm to the left leg. You can see how kind of it hikes up your hip a bit. So if your hip a bit is getting up, right? You might try to sit down into your left sitting bone as you coordinate that spine rotation. So the mid vertebrae is turning, okay? And you might prefer the foot on the block, like, that's better for my back. So to each his own. So feeling that rotation, breathing. I think this is going to be the class where we could say breathe and only helps the most. It's a world record class for that. Some classes are like that. Okay, now when you're turning, notice if that lower back is turning. It happens, unfortunately, for some of us. So me too. So I'm going to try to get my ribs to go up, even though it seems obnoxious. I'm going to lift my ribs. I'm going to breathe big in my rib cage. Feel the stability in my sitting bones. And then when I unwind, come back forward or untwist, take the sand off the right thigh. And now we get to go upside down. Hooray, hooray. So I would say stay on the bolster. Okay, have your blocks to the side yard. I do not think we're using them for a bit. Go down to one blanket behind you and then scoot yourself so that you have enough space behind you so you won't slide off of your mat. Sometimes it happens. Tailbone is at the bolster, no block under my tailbone. And then I lower back. So I don't want my bolster too low. I can't express this enough. I still see this happen and someone's back is hurting. So Don't have your bolster too far down nor too far up. You want to be able to have a bridge pose where your tailbone's kind of in the center, smack dab in the middle. And then when you bring your knees inwards towards your ribs, so drawing them in, and then take the legs up into Viparita Karani. Okay, so you can have your sand on your feet. You can be sand free. I know we're going to use sand at the end, and if you don't end up staying till the end in your class, then you might put your sand on your feet right now. Okay. Yeah, some of us maybe we're not going to be in the whole lesson, so that's fine. This way you have an opportunity. But the feet get stepped on a lot, so I like to just sometimes do the shape without any sand because again they get stepped on so often. So just let them be free feet. Okay. My feet are free, okay, without anything on them. Nothing. Okay, no shoe, no sand. Okay, now as the legs are reversing, right, their flow back to the circulation, back to the heart, the blood back to the heart. So nice to do for yourself. Okay, and taking the moments here. Now, inversion places the weight of the abdominal organs right on the diaphragm. So as you exert that inhale, if you're surviving, okay, you're going to be working a little bit on toning the breathing muscle, right? Your primary respiratory muscle when you're upside down. So I think witnessing the basic things of existence is one thing I like about this practice because there's enough distraction. So it gives me the opportunity to kind of witness how I feel using the poses to, to shake things up inside, to reverse the directional flow back to my heart, my lungs, my brain. And actually especially right now in my legs, right? My muscles here, the gravitational pull, gets a little stagnant when you step on your feet a lot. Okay, the calves can get kind of full. So let's work a little bit with just simply bending the legs and getting a belt. And if you like to go knee side to side, you go for it. If it feels good, just go with that movement before you get the belt on your feet. And you want to buckle up so you got a big loop. I think I overdid the loop here. So not too generous. I don't want to have too much flexibility here on this one. Just scoop up my feet. Okay. Let the legs go up. And then where else are they going to go? They'll go out. So again, not too big of a loop, right? Make it so it's reasonable, so it's not too shaky. Okay, and if it is shaky, no matter what you do, which happens, you can hold your belt. You can just grasp a hold, and then as you're pulling, right, it might be a little bit more comfortable that way, and that's okay. There's different sensation whether I hold the belt or when I don't. It's different, a little bit different. So go with what's good for you. And if you like to hold the belt, but you want to have the loop a little bit wider, that's good. You could do that and bring your palms together. So you have this type of direction. I think this is pretty good too. That feels kind of good for my shoulders, into my upper back muscles and down the spine. Okay, so you decide. Okay, let's just take a few moments. So my feet are in the belt. It's a wide stance, so I can really reverse that flow through my adductors, my leg pits. Your palms can be together, or you can not hold on to the belt. You can just let it be, but only the width that's comfortable enough for you. It could be a little bit challenging. Breathing. Okay, now with the legs trying to be straight, I think straight and upside down. Okay, they're straight-ish. So as I get a hold, I guess if you have you're not holding your belt, you probably have to bend them to get the belt, don't you? You have to bend them. Okay, so we're going to go into holding the belt now. So you've got to straighten them out and then bring the legs together. Okay, think about it before you tell them what to do. Okay, so belt is at the balls of the feet. Okay, you got two. And they may feel like a uni foot, uni leg. Okay. So feel the uni leg situation here. So the tailbone may not feel so tailed right now. It may feel like just the sides of it, right? SI joint area. Okay, now lower the left leg down. I mean the whole thing. It could be knee still bends, but the foot comes down. Okay. And then get your sandbag if you're going to sand your left quadricep. That's for quad sanders. If you're a quad sander, then add the sand and you probably are going to straighten out your left leg. Yeah. I think my favorite way of doing this is to have the wall under below my left foot, but it just happened to work out today, but it probably 1 in 20 times does it, actually. Okay, so you kind of randomly luck out. Now, if that loop is wide enough, you're going to possibly place it to the occiput, so the center of the back of your skull, center or a little bit up from the occiput, just not below the occiput or on the neck, okay? Now, if you like to do the brain float, this is the option, okay? Belt under the ball of the foot, or if you're anti-brain float, which is some people are, bring the palms together, like I showed earlier, but the belt is between the webbing of the thumb and the index, and then you'll extend back, okay? All right, so you get a feel of that reach of your arms. This feels good. Yeah, but you decide. If it feels pretty good to get that neck traction, yeah, I would just go for it. Just letting your arms relax open. You know, where the calf is extending, just let it drain a little bit longer. You know, if there's any pinching or any discomfort in the right at the lower back or a little bit below and the sacrum out, the outskirts of the sacrum, then you would want to bend the left knee. You don't want to get to that point, but sometimes it does kind of leak into your awareness. So you can bend the left knee, you can leave the sand on or slide it off. And you might find, oh, that fixed that. It could be helpful. You could move the belt to your hands if it's feeling a little funny. I think I feel pretty good with it right now. If I hold onto the belt and stretch back, I can monitor the sacrum stuff a little better, right? Because I can move the foot downwards. I can actually actively circulate into that right side of the sacrum this way, right? If I have the belt around my head, I really can't. I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to rock the neck like that. So you got options. So a few more rounds of breath. Okay, now move the sand to your belly. Okay, and shift the belt. Actually, don't shift the belt, shift the foot in the belt. If you need to shift your belt, you can do that. I tend to hold the back of my head if I have the belt there, so that it just feels a little bit more controlled and less likely it's going to slip off of my head too. So right leg can move down, and you might already be set up nicely because you've done side one. So at side two, you just push the sandbag to the top of that right thigh. Surprisingly, one thigh might feel more controlled than the other with the sand. You might notice one quad, the top of the thigh lid, right, flattens out easier than the other side. All these mysterious things will be revealed in your yoga class, right? How do I get this balanced? So it's okay if you don't have the left leg straight. Let's say it's bending. Perfect. For me, this side feels a little tingly around the hip. So I'm going to just bend my left knee, maybe give myself a little more slack on the belt, but I don't want to have disruptions that feel like my leg is going to go numb, or my hip or the joint area feels a little bit of imbalance. So part of life is just, I guess, imbalance, right? And our focus is to try to find some here. Okay, arms could be open, hands could be holding the belt too, right? If you don't want to hold the belt like that with the palms together, some people like to simply just hold the belt with the hands walking up towards the foot. Just hold it versus reach with it around the hands. Okay, so feeling the opposition, right, with the legs. They're in opposite modes for the hip flexors, right, and for the psoas. Just let the back speak a little bit here, feeling. Let's take a few, 4 to 5 more rounds of breath. Now, as you hold the belt, it's behind your head, slide it off, grab a hold with both hands first on the left foot. Okay. Now, slide the right foot in so the knee is pointing up, and then push the sand off of that right hip. Okay. And then I want you just to take a maybe about 10-second crossover with the left leg. Just give it a little kind of flush of sensation. We'll be doing a much bigger movement with the hip in a few moments. Okay. Now bend the left knee and then come back center and switch the foot that's in the belt. Keep it simple. Left leg can stay bendy, and then right leg is being held by the belt by the left hand. Cross the right leg over to the left. And just feeling that circulation for just a few more seconds here in the hip. Maybe 6 more. Let's even it out on side 2. Okay, now bending that right knee, and then just bring the foot closer, take the belt off your foot, and then as your knees point up, belt goes to the side yard, take a ball and place it center of the knees. Okay, now I feel my elbows kind of jab the bolster, but what I'm going to probably entertain is the elbows out to the sides a little bit. But I have my hands up kind of like these little robot arms. So squeeze the ball. Okay. I know your hands might try to be entertaining as well, but relax them. And relax the squeeze. Squeeze the ball, pelvic floor kind of reverse flow. And relax. So when we're squeezing the ball, we're not really gripping our glutes necessarily, but we will in a moment. So the next time you squeeze the ball, okay, bring the knees towards the chest, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. So your squeezability probably diminishes when you bring your knees in. It's like kind of, it's a very total inner leg, adductor leg pit when the knees point straight up-ish, vertical. And then when I draw them in, I kind of lose some of my total pelvic floor control, a little bit, it's not all. Okay, now hands are going to go to the bolster, and you're going to just start pushing the bolster down from under the back of the pelvis. Now you're still trying to squeeze the ball, trying. Okay, now feet on the bolster, and squeeze the ball and lift the hips up. Okay, now you got more players on your team. You got the glutes adding on. So lifting the hips and lower. Your arms are free to move with this. Okay. I just like to try other things. So I'm kind of used to, okay, arms overhead and down. But sometimes I like to think this is the classics. We used to teach it like this. We never moved our arms up and down. We didn't have choreography. We were just doing the basic method, right, for the yoga practice. Okay, we lift into bridge pose, we clutch our hands together, right? That was what we used to do. So freeing the arms might be kind of interesting, is when you lift up the hips to bring your arms overhead, and then as you lower the spine. Okay, but interesting doesn't mean it's necessarily the best alignment ideas. So feel when your hands are down by your hips, okay? Now lift the hips up. Doesn't have to be as high as possible. Just squeeze the ball, lift the hips. Okay, now feel if you can roll your shoulders down and in towards the spine. Okay, so when you're on your back here, and I know you might get just tired. So if you get just tired, just insert a block under your pelvis. It's like, oh, that's nice. I get help. But I'm not gonna come up and look at what people are doing, but I want you to see. So when I'm on my back, I'm trying to roll my shoulders down and in. And it's hard to do on your back. But that's what we used to teach in yoga trainings, right? You roll the shoulders down and in. So with this ball, it can be a little bit chaotic, a lot of activity going on. So I encourage you to get a block under there. If you haven't already, just get it. Okay, you deserve a block. You deserve a block today. So the block is at the second setting, right? You don't, if it's too low and you like that, that's up to you. If you're like, I like low blocks, to you. Okay. Now, I'm gonna actually press into the back of my skull on the blanket, okay? Okay, I'm gonna roll my right shoulder or down, around and in, and my left shoulder around and in. And it's definitely a puffer chest now. A puffer chest, a puffin. Okay, so a lot of rib movement, a lot of lung movement here. Okay, now, I don't know about you, but this feels a little foreign sometimes to me, this exercise. But this is a good way to do legs up, okay? This is a really fantastic way to do legs up. So bring the feet off the bolster and then take the legs straight up. Now, if you're like, I can't use that ball, it's like my legs are shaky, just remove the ball, but you got to get your arms back where they were, right? Or you probably could drop it somehow, right? You could just let the legs move and just drop the ball, right? I guess that works. You get to choose, play around with it. Okay, and now with the shoulders back and around, they start to slide out again. It's so much for alignment, huh? That's just part of our lives. Everything collapses at some point. But this is a good way to innervate these tissues when you're not standing and rounding your back and collapsing. Do some of this work, right? Do this bridge work and legs up. All right, so as you bend your legs, your core is going to wake up again. And then your posterior core is happy as could be. Feet on the bolster. Lift the hips. Don't worry about tucking the tailbone. Just lift the hips. Basic. Nothing hardwired into the tail. Just lift the hips. Slide the block out. And then lower the spine and kind of milk it. Just go slow. Okay, feeling the chambers of the back. I know the vertebral segments is nice to think about, but I don't think we get one at a time. I think we probably get a mass of them at a time. But maybe you like to think the other thought. So lower down on the vertebral length. Okay. And then once you center down, okay, get the ball. Hopefully it's easy to find again. All right, place it to your left rear. Okay, so I just swing my knees to the right, swish them. And then that way I'm not going to grip my glute to get on the ball. So, okay, so this way it kind of gives a little stretch here. It's not a big one, but I just push the ball to the rear, not the hip. Well, it is kind of hip-ish, isn't it? Not the ribs, okay, or the leg. And then I bring my knee center, and then I just kind of push into the ball, or we call it swish a ball. Okay. So hips going side to side. Yeah, so after all that lifting and lowering, now we can kind of massage a little bit into the glutes. They've done a lot of work. So as you press across it, you can feel that pressure and circulation into the glute fibers. And even if you use all the weight you can, okay, you're definitely pushing into the glutes. You might find that you tend to want to stay on the outer border, right, on the side where it's kind of near the joint structure, where it tends to be, a little more nerve rich, okay, to our detriment, right, living as we age. That can be ouch. So just massage it, get some nice kind of spontaneous circulation in there, juice it up. Okay, And then, yeah, it's called like joint juicing, right? When you massage into the joint area. Okay, now we're going to come down off of that left glute roll, knees to the right, take it easy, and then move the ball over to the right. Left knees move left, they just sway, move the ball to the right glute, and then we push and we go across. Okay, yeah, and I don't think you can be casual enough on this one. You don't have to be making it like trying to make it more intense or more challenging or feel more. I think just that softer ball interacting with the skin in this larger way, right? It's a larger ball than a tennis ball, really helps mobilize fluids into these tight areas. So just you can just lie on the ball, breathe a few times, and then kind of rub into it. You really don't have to make it a big exercise like 20 times. So efforting is probably a little overrated on the rolling. We just do so much effort. So if your right foot moves around, you're kind of steering the movement on the ball. Figure four work. I didn't do that on side one, so I shouldn't try it on side two, huh? But just rub into the glutes, the glute zone. Okay. Now, as I have a blanket under my head, and it's a pretty substantial height. I mean, I've got a quarter full. When we do the twist, you get to decide if you want to make that a little higher. We just don't want to make it so high that we create more of the rounded neck situation. But just know that if this is too low for you, right, you can always fold it once more or roll it under your neck. Some people like to roll it under their neck to find ease in their upper spine. Okay, and then as I come down off the ball, I'm going to move it over to the left side again. And I'm going to clear out that right side so I got space to push my bolster over to it. And then as my bolster's on the side of my mat, besides my right thigh, I'm going to relax the right leg and then just simply move my left thigh. I think the idea of swinging it over, some people think that's silly, but I guess I think of that when I do this. I kind of visualize like a soccer player, running down, and then they kind of kick and their whole body kind of moves. I visualize that in this pose. Everyone's got to have some sort of visualization. So ball goes to the tailbone area and then sand to the outer left hip. If you don't visualize anything with it, no problem. Okay. So sand on that outer hip, you might be one that kind of works to the feeling core. So the feeling core in that left hip, the touchdown into the quad, sorry, not the quad, the outer rotator, and left arm is open. Now the arm could be a little downwards and it could be up, and they're both good. Okay, so kind of feel for yourself, how does the sense of the rib cage turn? How much do I want to turn in my ribs? And just feel the motion of your breath. Feel the belly. Feel the ribs. And then the extremities are kind of hopefully a secondary focus, but to get in the pose, to feel the belly, feel the ribs, feel the lung work, is that you have to use the extremities to get there. But once you're there and you got the leg reaching to the right, the left arm opening to the left and relaxing the shoulder, and then you can calculate the movement of the breath, the sensations from its movement. Okay, now as we turn our head back, center. Okay, move the sand down off the leg. And as we come back into the middle, I might encourage you to try having the ball at the sacrum in the middle of the two, between two sides. So you might want to walk your feet in towards your seat as far in as will go comfortably. And then just roll the ball just around tailbone sacrum. If you have a largish ball, right, you're going to find both spots in one. Okay. Yeah, a uni tail sacrum. All right. So a tacrum. So as we feel that arch in the lower back, right, feel the belly, give a little bit of circulation in the lower core. And you can certainly have the knees pointing up, okay? We know what I like to do with the ball. The sacrum, though, is knee to chest, but this is not appropriate right now because we're doing twists. But, you know, alternating knee to chest, I like to do that exercise for balance. Okay, just don't bring your knees all the way in, but just letting your hips move side to side, wagging your tail. And then we'll move the bolster at the same time, okay, to the left. So wag your tail, massaging into that lower back track, okay? And the lower back is kind of swaying side to side. It's getting a little bit of kind of pulley or traction. So the ball is good for traction as the sandbag is, I think. I think you can be very creative with the ball, massaging all these different areas and getting traction. If you massage into the belly, you can stand next to a wall and put the ball there, and that might be good for some of us to try if we don't like to lay straight on it, down on it. So turn to that second side. So I'm going to place the ball around tailbone-ish, okay? And if you don't want to push the ball in, it doesn't feel has any purpose, no worries. Now, I found many people like something on their bolster instead of just the bolster. It's just not enough support for their hip, okay? Because it could inevitably affect your hip. So you could put a block or a blanket there, okay? The block might seem too much, but for some people, it's actually really fits the need. So if you're feeling like this just isn't right, I need more height, put something under the right knee, and then add that sand to the right hip-ish, towards the thigh to the knee. Even if you got knee stuff, sometimes this feels good closer to the knee. And even if you got hip stuff, right, sometimes this feels really good on the hip or it doesn't feel good at all. So you got to follow what works for you, not for me. So the instruction is something to kind of use as an outline, but you can do half of it, you can do something different. But my outline is my left leg is bending, my right leg is stretched over to the bolster. And if your hip is just like, oh, I want to do this, but it's just too much, one side is tilted more than the other, another option you can do is the bolster is center of the thighs, and you kind of hug it and you bring your knees a little higher over to that left side and let the arms open. Yeah, this can feel really good, having the bolster center of the leg. So if you're having a little bit of back challenge, even hip challenge, this can be a good one. Okay, even if you normally do this other option. Okay. All right, so great one. Okay, now as we feel that crossover, we've got the arm open to the right, and the arm opens the chest. Okay, that's what the arm is for. Even though most of the day it's not doing that, it's leaning forward and getting things, and it's going the other direction. That would be good if I could balance it out. So today I do. Today I get to balance it out. So head rolls to the right, breathing slow. And with the final few moments, and then we're going to be doing a little bit of core, posterior core, tummy time. Sometimes it's nice to fine tune that towards the final spinal It does require a little bit of energy to do tummy time, but we'll work our way towards that. So the arm is open, the head rolls right. The weight of the pelvis rests into the floor. Since we've been doing one side of the pelvis for much of this class, it's been, besides the inversions, even in the inversions, we weren't symmetrical with the work. So it's nice to kind of bring it into symmetry towards the end too. So what we're going to do is take the sand away, sand free. If you do use sand that legs up the wall, maybe push it towards your wall space. Okay. Now let's just simply roll to the belly. Now, if you feel like I crave my knees to go to my chest right now, then do it, right? So if you're feeling like I can't go to my belly right now, I need to bring my knees in and hug them. So you could hug the back of the thighs and just squeeze the legs in a little bit to find that balance in the sacrum. Okay, some people rock a little side to side. I'd say keep it real still, just draw the knees in. Don't rock the boat too much here. Okay, now we've got to get towards the core, the front, right? So we're going to roll to the side and then come around to table and get your bolster under you. So let's start with the bolster across, horizontal. If you need something under your knees, add it. This will be real basic, but it's sometimes helpful to have padding under your knees. Even if you're like, my knees are kind of not happy, just use your blanket. When in doubt, blanket it. Okay. Now I'm going to try to get close to the wall. I like to use a wall for these, but some of you aren't. So if you could get closest to the wall with your feet touching the wall, it would be ideal. And then we're going to lower down on the hands on the other side of the bolster, hands on floor, bolster across the front of the thighs, arch. Okay, do little baby back bends, a little bit beyond tummy time. So we're going to bend through the elbows, kind of like insect arms now. Praying mantis. Okay, so press into the palms, and then we're going to move the chest forwards. Oh, this is hard to do. Okay, now come back to table. Turn the bolster lengthwise. This should be a little easier this way. Come down so that the bolster still touches my thighs, but it's not on my knees, right? So I like to find a way to lower down my abdominals completely and the thigh lids, okay? And my legs are moving a little bit apart, so it's much more comfy on my lower back. So elbows down to Sphinx pose. And then feel if you can move your chin forwards. Okay, now breathe. Okay, and you feel like I can't go anywhere. I can't get up with my ribs. I'm like stuck on my elbows. So you're going to slide your hands back. Okay, remember insect arms. Okay, they kind of swing out to the side. Then you're going to have the hands far enough out so you have a little control. Okay, so my elbows are going to draw inwards, like I'm squeezing them in towards my ribs, although they don't touch them, and then come into that full back bend. So lifting up. That feels a little better than when the bolster was across my hips. Okay, now lower down, and you're going to stretch your arms back besides you, so palms towards the legs, shoulders back. If you find that you can feel into your feet, which I imagine you can, you're going to push your feet a little into the wall. And if it's too much, like you feel back response, don't push the wall. I have to admit, I think it feels better for me to not push the wall right now. Lifting up. Cobra pose. Cobras don't have limbs. Okay. Strengthening your core. I know your back mostly, but your core. Okay. Now hands down, elbows by the sides, and then come to table. Woo! Okay, you can either push back and bring your bolster forward under your forehead, hands reaching, or you can come into downward dog. Okay, I kind of like this. This feels pretty good. Why downward dog when I can do this? Okay, now, why? Because of the knees. Because some of us are going to find our knees have enough pressure on them already from that last experience. So just lift up the knees and stretch the heels towards the floor. Press the floor away. Okay. All right, but you can feel this in your shoulders, kind of pressure. So feel the back line stretch from the sitting bones to the heel bones, and then lower your knees back down and stretch the spine, right? So my forehead down on the bolster, my arms reaching. Okay. All right, now hands under shoulders, cat pose, chin to chest, round the back. And then in breath, arching the spine. Okay, all right, now let's come off of the blanket and we're going to move our blanket away from the wall and then move our bolster next to it. So if you are one that does bolster bench and not legs up the wall, this is your opportunity to put your blocks under your bolster and be in the middle of the room. I know there's a few of you that do that. So make a bolster bench or put a bolster at the wall. And then it's kind of an interesting sequence. Okay, place the blanket close enough for your head to be on. And then if you have an eye pillow, grab that, by the way. Once you're upside down, it's kind of hard to go get your eye pillow. Or you can use a blanket, okay? And sometimes having that blanket kind of making a little tent over your face can be interesting. So I'll see what happens. So turning, so I roll on the sacrum to come up, say down. You got to roll on the sacrum. Sacrum roll out. Okay. Now with the hips up and the legs extend-ish. Now, if this is a bit troubling on your hamstrings, please don't feel like you have to have your legs against the wall. Okay. We had none of that at the training. The group was expected to have the legs away, so nobody felt like they had to stretch the hamstrings totally. So if you've been doing this a while and this just naturally works for you, and you're close-ish to the wall, fine. Okay. We're not going to take away your flexibility. But if you can't get to the wall and you push your bolster a little bit away from it, that's great. Okay. So sand to the soles of the feet. If you like, if you want to be sand-free on the feet, just please do. Okay. But with that reverse flow, we got one sandbag, heels to the wall. Okay. Back of the pelvis is receiving all this flow because the legs are stretched up, so taut, right? And as your head relaxes back on the blanket, yeah, you could kind of play with using a blanket or a towel over your forehead and your eyes. You just don't want to put it over your nose or your mouth, right? So you can do that. And sometimes you can kind of create a little bit of a kind of a tent. Okay, can be kind of fun to do. So you have that curtain of darkness. Now, eye pillows work nicely, but I kind of like this because it doesn't push into my eyes. So there's a discussion with eye pillows going around that, if you have too heavy of an eye pillow, it distorts. It's not the greatest for your vision afterwards. You'll notice it's a little, but that's with any, compress too. So it's all kind of the same. I thought, well, have you been using compresses on your eyes? Because that does that too. So, it's up to you. So this is lighter, right? It has no pressure on my eyelid. And the key would be creating that darkness, that curtain of darkness. And let's come into the shape, arms open, and relax your breath. Keep it really simple. Just let your spine center. And notice all the things in your experience of being in a body that are symmetrical right now, because you do have the opportunity. I mean, you don't have the same organ on each side except for the kidneys, but things are not symmetrical inside of you, but some of the bone structures can feel symmetrical right now. So just feeling the outline of your body. Feel what is symmetrical, and there might be feelings that are different on one hip or the other. So then move to a place that's balanced, right? Belly moving, ribs moving out and back in. Just simply returning the body to a state of balance and peace. Feel the energy of breathing in through your nose and expanding in the body. And as you exhale, feel the breath leaving the body. Feel oxygen, motion. Just swallow to clear the passageway of your throat. And now feeling your tailbone pressing. And notice if you have an ability to feel your tail in this shape, right? During the day, we don't really feel the tailbone quite this way. It's just a really nice representation of the basin of the pelvis. It does kind of own the legs. The pelvis owns the legs, but in this position, it feels like the legs kind of own the pelvis because the thigh bones settle in the hip sockets. So you're going to shift if you have sand. I'd be a little careful, just careful with how straight you try to make the legs. You don't want to tighten your lower back. So you might do a little micro bend of the knees. And you could certainly toss your sand overhead. Just be aware if you have your eyeglasses behind you or, a glass of water or something. Be cautious about things that could cause some challenges past the experience. So bend your knees. And then I just move my sand off to the side. And I like to bring the legs up again and just move them a little bit apart without feeling the sand on my feet. The feet might feel a little cool and tingly. I know it might be the last few moments today that your feet feel cool without a sock on or a shoe or all the weight that goes into them. Just feel them for where they are, kind of free of weight. Take a load off here. This might be the one thing you repeat another time past the class, maybe today or another day, but this is, I think, your main thing to focus on for your self-care, immune system, lymph, vascular system. It's such a good one. So bend the legs, and then if you hinge, you might find that the pelvis kind of swings a little bit, and just let your knees bend, and you can either roll to the side or hug them in for a few moments. Don't ever attempt to go too fast out of something. It's only moments, right? But they can affect other things later in the day if you go too quick. So when you roll to the side, let your arms eventually help you out. Both of them to bring you around to sit. If sitting is uncomfortable, you can take the legs straight in front of you like so, or you can bring the soles of the feet together. But find that bit of crossing at the ankles and let the arms find some ability to touch to the legs. And feeling as the hands maybe press a little bit, that connection into the chest to move up. And hands pushing down can help a chest lift up. Okay. So we'll come to the close of our practice today together. So feeling the awareness of the community, breathing in support for each other. Bring the hands up to the heart, palms to palms. And let's unite our breath together. So take a slow breath in, breathing in. And as we exhale, bowing into the peace within your heart. Gratitude, namaste.